You were never told this about the eyeshadow you've been using for decades. Every morning, every evening, layer after layer pressed into the thinnest skin on your entire face. The damage builds silently. These brands have watched their customers age while their formulas stayed frozen in time. A 2023 consumer advocacy investigation found dozens of major eyeshadow products contained synthetic colorants linked to chronic irritation and barrier disruption. This video exposes 7 brands you need to reconsider immediately and 3 safer alternatives that could finally give your eyes the protection they deserve. Number 1. Urban Decay. This is the brand that made you feel bold, edgy, and unapologetically confident. You picked it up in your 30s because it felt rebellious and premium. You stayed loyal because the colors were striking and the payoff was intense. But here's what nobody prepared you for. The formula that felt powerful at 32 feels punishing at 52. Your eyelids are not the same eyelids anymore. The skin there has thinned dramatically. The barrier that once bounced back from heavy pigment loads now struggles to recover overnight. And Urban Decay has done almost nothing to adapt. Think about how you use this product. You sweep it across your lids every single morning. You blend and layer. You reapply for evening events. You've done this for 15, maybe 20 years. That's thousands upon thousands of applications pressed into skin that has become more absorbent with every passing year. The pigment density that once felt luxurious now clings differently. It pulls moisture from tissue that can't afford to lose any. The synthetic dyes that delivered that famous color punch weren't designed with menopausal skin in mind. They were designed for impact. They were designed for Instagram. They were designed to photograph well under ring lights. The result of decades of use is often invisible at first, a tightness you can't quite place. A dryness around the outer corners that makeup seems to settle into, rather than glide over. Creasing that appears earlier in the day than it used to. A subtle inflammation that makes your eyes look tired even when you've slept well. You've probably blamed aging. You've probably blamed stress. You've probably blamed everything except the product itself. But when formulas prioritize color payoff over skin tolerance, your eyes absorb the cost. Some users report no issues whatsoever, and tolerance absolutely varies from person to person. But the brand's refusal to evolve its approach for an aging customer base is a choice, and you deserve to know that choice was made. Number 2. Morphe Fast Makeup Made Fast. That's the Morphe model. Influencer collaborations launched at breakneck speed, palette after palette flooding the market, limited editions designed to sell out before anyone asks too many questions, and your eyes have been absorbing the consequences of that pace for years. The problem with rapid-fire product releases is that quality control becomes a moving target. Ingredient sourcing shifts between batches. Formulations change without announcement. What worked in one palette may irritate in the next because the standards simply aren't consistent. When you're applying product directly to your eyelids every day, you need to trust that what you're putting on today is the same as what you put on yesterday. With Morphe, that trust has been broken repeatedly. Consumer complaints have piled up over the years, burning sensations that appear suddenly after months of use, shadows that felt fine in one collection causing redness and swelling from another. The variability is the danger. Your mature eyes can't afford to be the testing ground for inconsistent formulations. The skin around your eyes repairs more slowly now than it did in your 20s and 30s. When something triggers inflammation, the recovery period stretches longer. The damage accumulates. You might have picked up Morphe because the price point was accessible and the color stories were exciting. You might have stayed because your favorite YouTuber swore by it. But influencer-driven launches are designed to move product quickly, not to protect your skin over the long haul. The brand has faced public controversies about quality. It has faced questions about oversight. And while not every user experiences problems, the unpredictability alone should give you pause. When you're applying something to the most delicate skin on your face, consistency isn't optional, it's essential. Number 3. Too Faced. The packaging is adorable. The names are playful. The scents are sweet and nostalgic. And every single time you open one of those palettes, fragrance particles are drifting directly toward your eyes. This is a problem nobody warned you about. Fragrance near the eyes is one of the most common irritation triggers identified by dermatologists. It doesn't matter how pretty the packaging is. It doesn't matter how luxurious the product feels. When synthetic fragrance compounds make contact with thin, aging eyelid skin, the potential for reaction increases significantly. Menopausal and postmenopausal skin has already lost much of its protective barrier function. It's more permeable. It's more reactive. Adding fragrance to that equation is a formula for chronic, low-grade irritation that you might not even recognize as irritation. You've been using Too Faced because it felt fun and indulgent. The novelty themes made makeup feel like a treat rather than a routine. But novelty comes at a cost when formulations prioritize scent and aesthetic over sensitivity. That subtle burning you've dismissed, that persistent dryness you've attributed to the weather, that redness around your lash line that never quite goes away. These could be signals that your eyes are reacting to something they're exposed to daily. Too Faced has built an empire on looking pretty and smelling sweet. But pretty packaging that quietly punishes your eyes every single day isn't protection. It's marketing. And marketing isn't looking out for your 50-year-old eyelids. Not everyone will react to fragrance the same way. But if you've been experiencing unexplained eye discomfort and you've been reaching for these scented palettes morning after morning, it's worth asking whether the product you trusted might be the problem you overlooked. Number 4. NYX affordable doesn't mean harmless. This is the uncomfortable truth about budget eyeshadow that nobody wants to say out loud. When a product costs a fraction of what its competitors charge, something had to be cut to make that price point work. And often, what gets cut is the quality of ingredients and the rigor of testing. NYX delivers impressive color payoff at drugstore prices. That's the appeal. But the pigments required to achieve that payoff at that cost are not always gentle. Lower-cost colorants often require more binders, more fillers, more texture-enhancing compounds to perform acceptably. These additions can increase the likelihood of dryness, creasing, and irritation, particularly on mature lids where the skin's natural cushion has diminished. You've been using NYX because it felt like a smart, practical choice. Why spend more when this works just as well? But the math changes when you factor in decades of daily application. What you save at the checkout, your skin may pay for over time. This isn't about one application. It's about the cumulative weight of thousands of applications on eyelids that have grown thinner and more fragile with every year. The brand has not been transparent about long-term wear testing. There's little information available about how these formulas perform on aging skin specifically. They were developed for a broad market, not for your particular skin at your particular age. Sensitivity varies, and many users never notice a problem. But when budget formulations are applied daily for years without question, the potential for slow, unnoticed damage grows. Affordable can become expensive when the true cost is the health of your eyes. Number 5. ColourPop trendy today, regrettable tomorrow. That's the ColourPop formula in every sense. New releases drop constantly. Limited editions vanish before anyone can evaluate them properly. The entire brand is built on speed, novelty, and the fear of missing out. And your eyes are absorbing the consequences of that business model. When products are manufactured at this pace, long-term wear testing becomes an afterthought. There's no time to study how a formula behaves after months of daily use. There's no incentive to consider how it might interact with aging skin specifically. The goal is to capture attention, drive impulse purchases, and move on to the next launch before questions arise. This approach might work for fast fashion. It's dangerous for something you press into your eyelids every morning. The shadows often crumble. The fallout lands in your eyes. The textures don't age well, breaking down faster than premium alternatives. And on mature skin that's already prone to dryness and creasing, these formulations simply don't perform the way they're photographed, performing on 23-year-old influencers with pristine lid real estate. You bought ColourPop because the colors were exciting and the prices were impossible to resist. You kept buying because new collections dropped before the old ones were even finished. But this rapid turnover means you've been applying formula after inconsistent formula to your eyes without any long-term stability. The brand prioritizes what's trending over what's tolerable. Your menopausal eyelids were never part of that calculation. Experiences vary widely, but the pace and production model alone warrant serious reconsideration if eye comfort is your priority. Number 6. Huda Beauty. This is makeup built for the camera, not for comfort. Huda Beauty delivers the most intense pigmentation on the market. The shadows photograph like nothing else. The color stories are dramatic, bold, and designed to stop the scroll. But that intensity comes with a physical weight your aging eyes may no longer be able to carry. Heavy pigment powders behave differently on mature skin. They cling to texture instead of smoothing over it. They settle into fine lines within hours. They pull moisture from lids that are already struggling with dryness. The dramatic payoff that looks stunning in photos can feel like sandpaper after a full day of wear. And when you're applying something this dense every single day, the cumulative strain on your eyelid skin becomes significant. Huda Beauty was designed for Instagram moments. It was designed for makeup tutorials and dramatic looks that rack up engagement. It was not designed for the everyday woman over 40 who just wants to feel put together without paying for it in discomfort by noon. The brand has never positioned itself as gentle, sensitive-friendly, or age-appropriate. It has positioned itself as maximum impact, and maximum impact on fragile, thinning skin often means maximum irritation. You might love how these shadows photograph. You might feel like the colors let you express yourself in ways softer products can't match. But if your eyes feel heavy, dry, or uncomfortable by the end of the day, the product isn't working for you anymore, no matter how good the pictures look. This isn't ideal for daily long-term wear on mature eyes, and pretending otherwise just protects the brand while your skin bears the burden. Number 7. Revolution Beauty. The cheapest option often costs you the most, slowly. Revolution Beauty has built its reputation on extreme affordability. These are the shadows that cost almost nothing, that fill massive palettes for the price of a coffee. And when something costs that little, you need to ask what corners were cut to get there. The answer, almost always, is ingredients. Budget, binders, lower-grade fillers, pigments that haven't been tested for long-term safety on sensitive areas. When these compounds are applied to your eyelids daily for years, the irritation compounds. It doesn't announce itself with a sudden reaction. It builds gradually. A little more dryness each month. A little more sensitivity each season. A slow erosion of your eye comfort that you attribute to aging when the product might be accelerating it. Revolution Beauty releases new products constantly with minimal transparency about reformulations. You don't know what's changing between batches. You don't know how the formula you've been using compares to the one you'll buy next. This lack of oversight becomes dangerous when you're applying something to the thinnest, most absorbent skin on your face day after day after day. You reached for Revolution because the price was unbeatable. You stayed because it seemed to work well enough. But well enough isn't the same as safe enough for decades of daily wear. Consumer watchdog groups have raised questions about ingredient sourcing in ultra-budget cosmetics. The conversation around cumulative exposure to lower-quality formulations is growing. And while individual experiences vary, the overall picture suggests that extreme affordability in eye products may carry hidden costs that only become visible years down the road. RMS Beauty. This is what relief feels like. After everything you've just learned about heavy pigments, inconsistent quality, fragrance irritation, and budget-cutting formulations, RMS Beauty offers something different: simplicity, transparency, formulations built for eyes that need gentleness rather than just impact. RMS keeps ingredient lists short and understandable. Fewer synthetic colorants, fewer binders fighting for space on your lid, a philosophy that prioritizes what your skin can actually tolerate over what photographs most dramatically. For aging eyelids that have been absorbing harsh formulas for decades, this approach feels like finally being considered. The textures are often cream-based, which means they move with your skin rather than cracking over fine lines. Application feels nourishing rather than stripping. The payoff is softer, more natural, more suitable for everyday wear that doesn't punish you by afternoon. This isn't makeup that screams for attention. It's makeup that respects the skin it sits on. The honest limitations are worth knowing. Cream textures aren't for everyone, particularly if you prefer powder application. The shade range is narrower than trend-driven brands, and the price point is higher than drugstore options by a significant margin. But when you've spent years unknowingly stressing your eyelids with formulas that weren't designed with you in mind, paying more for less aggravation can feel like the smartest investment you've made in your routine. Alima Pure. If your eyes have become extremely sensitive, if menopause has left your skin reactive in ways you never anticipated, Alima Pure may be exactly what you need. This brand has built its entire identity around minimal ingredient lists and low irritation profiles, mineral-based pigments. Nothing unnecessary, nothing harsh. The formulations are stripped down to essentials. There's no fragrance competing for space near your eyes, no complex blends of synthetic colorants that your barrier has to work overtime to tolerate. Just clean, simple shadows that do their job without demanding anything extra from your skin. For postmenopausal women who've watched their eye comfort decline with every passing year, this feels like permission to stop fighting. The color payoff is softer than what you'll find at Huda or Urban Decay. If you want drama that stops traffic, this isn't it. But if you want to get through a full day without dryness, tightness, or that creeping irritation that makes you want to rub your eyes by 3 o'clock, Alima Pure delivers. The trade-off is real, but so is the relief. Limited shade range is the main drawback. You won't find the trendy colors that Instagram rotates through seasonally, but you'll find options that work with your skin rather than against it. And after everything else, that might matter more than any trending shade ever could. Iredale. This brand has spent decades focusing specifically on eye-safe formulations for mature skin. When your primary demographic is women over 50 who are dealing with dryness, irritation, and sensitivities that didn't exist in their youth, you formulate differently. Iredale formulates differently. The textures are designed to sit gently on thin skin rather than clinging aggressively to texture. The pigments provide coverage without the heavy, suffocating weight of maximum intensity shadows. The overall experience is one of ease rather than endurance. You put it on in the morning and forget about it because it isn't demanding attention through discomfort. The shade range is smaller than what trend brands offer. You won't find the wild color experiments that drive social media engagement, but you'll find reliable, wearable options that have been tested specifically with your age group in mind. That kind of intentionality is rare in an industry that often treats mature consumers as an afterthought. For women over 50 whose eyes have been quietly suffering under formulas designed for younger skin, Iredale offers something valuable: recognition, consideration, products that actually account for where your skin is now rather than where it was 20 years ago. The price reflects that focus, and the shade limitations are real. But when comfort and safety are the priority, these trade-offs feel manageable. What to do with this information now you know what you didn't know this morning. 7 brands that may have been quietly stressing your aging eyelids for years without your awareness. 3 alternatives designed with sensitivity and gentleness as priorities. The Question is what you do next. Start by looking at your current collection. Identify which of these products you're reaching for daily. Consider how your eyes have been feeling lately. That tightness, that dryness, that creeping irritation you've been attributing to age or weather or tiredness. It might have a source, and that source might be sitting in your makeup bag right now. You don't have to throw everything away immediately, but you can start making different choices going forward. When a palette runs out, replace it with something designed for where your skin is now. When you're shopping for new shadows, prioritize brands that prioritize you. Small shifts compound over time, just like the damage did. Your eyelids have absorbed a lot over the decades. They've been loyal to you through every phase of your life. They deserve better going forward. They deserve formulas that actually consider the skin they're sitting on. Check out another video on this channel to learn what else might be hiding in your everyday routine. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Stay safe and protect your skin.